Kia ora. Today we are looking at who is in the best 17 for the Warriors this year. The Zero Tackle team, they have made their call and we're going to take a look at it in this video. But before we do that, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have plenty of NRL content coming out this year. So with all that being said, let's go. Warriors best 17 2025. Before we get into it, make sure you're set for the new season with Zero Tackle's 2025 NRL Season Guide. The comprehensive season guide features over 120 pages of dedicated, detailed footy content ahead of the 2025 season, with profiles of every single player, team previews, fixtures, recruitment reports, and much, much more. Best of all, it's free. Get it now from zerotackle.com. All right, and here to break down the best 17 for the Wars, Darren Parkin, Zero Tackle analyst. So Darren, after that exciting 2023, they came crashing back down to earth in 2024. How are we looking for 2025?
Yeah, they were an excitement machine in 2023, scoring heavily, very quick and lots of run, but it just became a lot more dour in 2024. It was hard work. It would have been a tricky watch for their fans. A couple of retirements, Shaun, the all-time great of the club, and Tohu Harris. So a bit of a new era for them, but you know those guys missed a lot of football last year anyway, so it's not going to come as a huge shock to the system to try to live without them, but fitness and consistency are going to be the key for them. I still think they've got a fair bit of talent.
Yep, absolutely. All right, speaking of that talent, let's take a look at the full best 17. All right, so starting with the backs and starting with the fullback in number one, Nicole Klokstad.
Yeah, it's a bit of a question mark heading into the season for them. It was the number one option last year, certainly, Nicole Klokstad. Didn't necessarily play out that way all year. The return of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck last season changed a few things in that sort of conversation. His stint in rugby, he was sort of playing or starting in centres, but there's no guarantee that that's where he'll be. But if we look at the form of Nicole Klokstad through the run to the finals when they were exciting in 2023 and some of what he did last year, I think he remains the first choice for them. But the likes of Tuapiki would be a good backup option for them.
Yep. And then in the wings, so we have Dallin, Watene-Valeshniak, and Tuivasa-Sheck.
Yeah, Watene-Valeshniak retains his spot, some pretty strong output. Looks to be a fairly straightforward selection. And Roger Tuivasa-Sheck could play a number of roles. Marcelo Montoya's departure creates a bit of a dilemma on what they do here. So we think that they'll leave him out of centres, leave him out of that defensive role, and he'll play on the wing, which will free up some players to move into some more structured positions for them. Look for Cozzy or Pompey or these sorts of guys to be around the mark too.
Yep. And then an interesting one, so Rocco Berry in the centres alongside Leatawa.
Yeah, and a lot of that all hinges on where they put Big Roger and how it all sort of plans out. Berry cemented his ability at the level, but battling a few injury niggles, so not a guarantee that he would play round one, but this is certainly a best side. And a lot of local excitement around Leatawa as well as a real emerging junior star. They think he's one of their best emerging talents domestically that they've had in a while. So expect him to be a lot further advanced by the end of 2025.
Yep. And then finally, the halves combination with Luke Metcalf and Tamare Martin.
Yeah, Luke Metcalf, arguably the most important player in terms of what they're trying to do. He's largely the key, very creative, very significant for their progress. And if you compare last year, obviously Johnson, that we mentioned, departs. When he didn't play last year, they actually looked okay, whereas when Metcalf didn't play, they looked all over the shop. So extremely important for them. And Martin gets the nod here. But Tanner Boyd, who came across from the Titans, could put a bit of pressure on there.
Yep, so interesting stuff there. So let's take a look now at the forward pack. All right, so taking a look at the props now. So former Panther James Fisher-Harris in the number 8 and then Mitchell Barnett in the 10.
Yeah, I think Fisher-Harris replacing Aiden Fennell-Blake, who joins the Sharks and gets that opportunity. Barnett, terrific season last year. One of the best props in the game, got an Origin debut out of that as well. And the other one would be Aaron Clark moving into the lock role. The Tohu Harris retirement does hurt them, but missed a lot of footy last year, as we said, so it's not going to shock them greatly. And Clark should be able to slot in seamlessly. He's impressed in his time on the Gold Coast playing a similar role, and they've got quite a bit of depth there.
Yep. And then someone who's probably a bit underrated. So in the number 9, we've got Wade Egan.
Yeah, he always pops up in conversations around Origin. They haven't given him a Guernsey just yet, but he keeps doing the job for his side and very reliable. They've got Freddie Lussick and Samuel Healy providing good backup there as well. But yeah, Egan usually does the job.
Yep. And then the second role is so Kurt Capewell and Murata Niokora.
Yeah, Capewell nearing the back end of his career, but he's a calming influence. And when you factor in some of the experience they've lost, that's pretty important for them that he'll be able to do that. Jackson Ford really unlucky to miss out on a starting spot there. We've slotted him onto the interchange 4. Laban, Halasima will also give them some reasonable backup, and Nakori providing depth in the middle forward role, but we've got him starting on the edges. He's been a pretty good player for a little while.
And looking at the interchange, so we talked about a couple of these. So Dylan Walker, Jackson Ford, Bunty Afoa, and Jacob Laban. Let's start just with Dylan Walker. So obvious walk-up utility.
Yeah, first guy they'd slot onto the bench there. He's got the ability to play in the forwards, either lock or hooker, can play on the edge, can slot in at 5/8, can play centres if they need him to. So, yeah, he's Mr. Fix-It. So they have to put him on the bench to slot him wherever they need. Jackson Ford, very unlucky not to be in the best 13. Very strong second row backup option. Afoa gives them middle third depth, and then Laban another edge. Depending on which way they want to go. If they opt to go with another edge, that'll see him slot in as a young player. If they go with a middle option, it might bring in someone like Vamalga as well. But yeah, we think Laban, given Ford, can cover the middle of the park.
All right, that's our best 17 for the Warriors. So looks like a pretty solid squad. Obviously, those retirements are going to hurt them, but hopefully they can bounce back and find some of that 2023 form again.
Yeah, they're okay. I think that, as much as the losses hurt, they've got the capacity to cover them, and they'll miss the names, but in terms of the output they got from them over the last 12 months, not as much that output. So I think they've started the process of living without them, and I think there's still something there that they can work with to become a pretty dangerous team.
Yep. Well, as a fully paid up Warriors member, I'm looking pretty forward to seeing this 17 this year. Yes, up the wires. So let us know what you think about best 17. Jump into the comments section. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have plenty of NRL content coming out this year, and catch all the latest NRL news at zerotackle.com. Thanks for watching.